time for Cigar Talk, the fastest growing cigar show in the nation. Whether you're a new cigar enthusiast or a cigar aficionado, we have something for everyone, bringing you the best interviews, cigar reviews, and weekly giveaways. So grab yourself a cigar.
It's time to light 'em up.
And welcome back, Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones. We got co-host Bryant Falconer in the studio. How you doing today, Bryant?
Hey, man, I'm doing good.
I actually know you're doing good today because before we did the show, we were at the Leaf hanging out.
Yes, sir.
Man, it was a good crowd tonight.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've been so busy with work that I haven't had a lot of extra time to go down to the Leaf. And it was really nice going down there and seeing all the guys tonight.
Yeah, sitting down there talking that noise again, smoking some good sticks, telling the lies and the false truths.
Doing what we do, man.
All the time.
So, hey, tonight, this is a special episode. It's not going to be on a regular schedule. We're just going to pop it out there in the middle of the week, give you guys some bonus material. Hopefully you enjoy it. We got a great interview coming up with Joshua and Cynn. They are motivational speakers. They are cigar influencers. They are influencing for Hiram and Solomon, and a really cool couple. Man, I talked to them earlier today. You'll hear the interview here in a little bit, but just salt of the earth type people. Really enjoyed hanging out and talking with them today.
Those voices you want for the cigar community, man. No matter what stick is for, you just want those type of influencers to be able to go out there and make people say, okay, if I haven't tried it, I'll try it. I'm not going to down it. Hey, this looks cool.
Yeah,
I like this, man. And just listen to them and the way they speak, the motivation, you can just feel it coming out of them.
And they've got a really interesting story. They've really helped the youth. They've helped some people that were down and out.
Yeah.
And I mean, both of them, I don't know if you've seen them. They're both covered in tattoos.
Yes, they are.
And but they're just really down to earth people, and I really enjoyed hanging out. In fact, it's an extended interview, so I hope you guys enjoy that. We'll be bringing that up here in a little bit after the break. And then, of course, we're doing our top pick 6 of the week, and I've got some tasty morsels of cigars that I've got picked out. I know you always do.
Yes, sir.
They're usually not as good as mine, but you know,
here we go.
You're getting there. You know what? I've seen you come around a lot over the last 6 months. Come on, dude. I mean, you don't smoke the same cigars every week.
That's true.
That's
true. There's too many out there. You get stuck on the same ones, you wind up losing the ability to taste and understand that there's a plethora of great sticks out there.
There's just so many sticks. And so little time.
Say it again.
You know what I mean?
That was perfect.
Yeah. So, and then also starting this week,
okay,
we're doing something new for the Patreons.
Tell the truth.
We've been doing video, but that is actually video that we record while we're doing the show.
Well,
and we are going to start doing the after show.
Speak to them.
And that's going to be we have 3 different tiers for our Patreons.
Yes, sir.
The first one is called the Corona. The second one is called the Robusto. And the third tier.
Hit them with it.
Is the Toro.
Yes, sir.
So the Robusto and Toro tier they'll have access to the after show. And that's going to be me and Bryant just basically hanging out like we do at the lounge, talking some BS, talking sports, politics, just, normally what we talk about when we're smoking cigars together and we're not on the show.
You find out who we really are.
Ooh, that's kind of scary. But anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about the ambassador program for McAuliffe.
Okay.
We missed that last week, and I want to talk about that because you don't know how many messages, you probably do too.
I do.
I get a lot of messages from people talking about how much they appreciate the McAuliffe family and being able to talk to the people who run McAuliffe. And I mean, it shows what a great family they have.
Inclusion.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes.
And so, if you go look at this episode, you'll see a link down below, and you can go sign up to be an ambassador for McAuliffe. They send you a challenge coin with your own number on it, and then they also send you a certificate that's handwritten, and that's just a token of their appreciation that you would be what would you say, to be a part of the family. And so if you haven't done that, definitely go by, check them out. I can't say enough. I mean, they're our sponsors, so of course I'm going to talk about them, but I was talking about them before they became our sponsors.
True.
And I'm a big fan of their cigar line. Tell them about the cigar line, Bryant.
40-42, bro. Hit every part of the palate.
Every part of the budget.
100%. And if you can't find a stick under the McAuliffe brand, man, come on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, $4 to $42. They have a cigar
that
for
hits you.
Everyone.
That hits you.
So definitely check them out. And then also, let's go ahead and get into our pick six this week.
Okay.
I'm going to let you go first.
Oh.
Because I'm going to slam you down.
Here we go.
I'm going to be like The Rock.
No, sir. No, sir. My first one is the Oliva G Series.
Oh, okay, that's a good smoke.
Dark.
Yeah. And, you know, that cigar is a little bit misleading on how dark it is because it's not that overpowering.
That's the thing.
I would say that's a medium to a medium plus, but it's not like going to knock you down.
It is enjoyable. It is definitely enjoyable. And what you say, like you said, when people look at it, like, oh man, this dark wrapper on it. But bruh, when you hit it, and
that wrapper's got some texture
to it, bruh.
I like that.
Burns beautifully.
Yeah, it really does. Nice, man. Thick wrapper on it.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Number 2, we getting stuck. My Gurkha Sadist Exo Natural.
What?
Yes, sir.
What in the hell is that?
Yes, sir.
First of all,
I got it online.
Two things. First, just the name Gurkha.
And then Sadist right behind it.
And then Sadist. I'm like, what in the hell?
Exo.
Is
natural.
It good?
Man.
I've never had one of those. I tell you this. I'm going to tell you straight up, everybody who's listening. Gurkha is one of those brands where I've never been that impressed. I've smoked several different ones, you know, and in fact, up in Lubbock, the Good Karma has some of the line.
Yes.
And I think I've smoked the Ghost. I don't know, something about a Beast.
Yeah.
You know, and I've just never been that impressed with the line. Now that being said, they have a line that is so freaking huge. You know what I mean? They probably have like, I don't know, I'm going to guess probably 6 million different cigars. So you can't keep up.
It seems that way.
So I would imagine that, and the whole line, there would be cigars I like.
Yeah, but you have
to
try.
But the line is so big, I'm not willing to take on that journey.
Why not?
Because you know what? There's too many other good lines.
One a week.
One a week. There's no way. I would. You know what? I'll make you this deal. When it comes down to Gurkha, I'll smoke one a year. So, in about 15 years, get back to me.
Yes, sir. All right.
We'll be in a home by then.
My third one this week was a Rocky Patel Prohibition Toro San Andreas.
Oh, that's a good smoke. I've had that before. I actually used to have the Prohibition jar.
Yes,
did you see that?
Yeah.
You know, I threw that away.
You did?
Yeah, threw it out. Because I was having to downsize. I was getting too much stuff in here.
You could have let me know.
I didn't know you were interested.
I'd have found room for it.
You don't need it either. I know you got too much stuff already.
Yeah, but that was my 3 this week, bro.
That's an interesting list for you. Really is.
But guess what I'm smoking tonight?
What are you smoking tonight?
The greatest.
Oh, now what is that?
Monte Cristo.
Oh.
Nicaragua. AJ Fernandez Toro.
You know what's funny is.
What's that?
I was talking to Nick last night from the Cigar Pulpit.
Okay.
And we were talking about Monte Cristo, and I was just dogging you.
I don't care.
And he told me he did an experiment with a guy, and what he did was, and I think this is a great idea, so we're going to do it with you. We're going to get like a $3 stick and a $10 stick and take the bands off and let you smoke each one of them without knowing what they are and see if you can tell which one's the $10 stick.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you.
I'm just telling you.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you.
So
you'll find out something.
You think you can?
You'll find out something.
You think you can?
You'll find out something.
All right. Hey, you think you're up for the challenge? I'm all for it, brother. So, and the funny thing is, no, I don't know what show they're doing, so I'm not going to announce what he came up with.
Okay.
So anyway, but that's what I was like, you know what? Bryant's going to do that. So anyway, my 3 cigars this week is, and this is going to hit you completely off guard.
Okay.
The CAO Flathead. Hold on. I'm not done yet. The CAO Flathead 770. Yes.
A CAO 770.
Yes. Now, let me tell you something. You know when the last time I smoked a 770 was?
No, I don't.
Was the day that we closed on this house.
Dude, that was 3 years ago.
I know. So, actually, it's a little bit longer than 3 years ago. So, you know what? I was just in the mood.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I've got an extra hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
So, well, you know, it's usually about a 2-hour smoke.
Yeah. Were you anywhere near Larry when you pulled that out?
I was not.
Okay.
I was not. I know he loves all the CAOs.
Yes,
especially the Still Horse Flatheads.
Yes.
All those.
Yes.
So anyway, great stick. If you haven't had it, you know, it's definitely a full body cigar. It's a box press, and it's a 7 inches long by 70 ring gauge.
Yes,
so it's definitely not going to be a 30-minute smoke. So
you got to have some time for that.
Yeah, you
one.
got some time on your hands. It's like the old Snickers commercial, not going anywhere for a while. That's what CAOs should use for their advertisement.
True.
Not going anywhere. Here's a 2-hour smoke.
I had forgot about that.
So anyway, my next smoke is the Grande Bold Maduro. I revisited this one, and let me tell you, it's like smoking a classic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's like sitting back home and listening to some old Def Jam.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I did listen to music. I was here at the shed, and I was listening to Tennessee whiskey. And let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The other night, Bryant comes over to the shed, and I've got Etta James playing.
Etta James,
and
classic.
Before the vocals start, Bryant thinks it's Tennessee whiskey by Chris Stapleton. And if you listen to the song,
the riff,
I mean, it's perfect.
It is.
It's not changed.
Nope.
And the funny thing is, when my brother was here, he heard that song and thought it was going to be Tennessee whiskey as well. So I was like, "Holy crap! That's what do you call that? Sampler?"
He sampled that, and I mean, when I listened to it, I didn't even listen to the words she was singing anymore because I was trying to hear the music. I was like, I want to hear that change to see where it was different, but it wasn't.
And you could hear him saying Tennessee whiskey, right?
All the way through. But then you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm done with that. I want to hear her.
Right.
And I was just like, just laid back, man.
Dude, because Etta James and cigars.
Bruh. Miles Davis.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they go so well together.
So well, man.
And I mean, that's one of the ones that I'm like, Alexa, play Etta James. So my third stick this week went kind of high class on you. A Padron Maduro 1946. Ooh. I didn't hit the 26. Ooh. But, you know, it was...
What made you step up there for? What made you
just
step
after
up
the holiday, man.
Okay.
I worked 12 days in a row. I needed to kick back, and that's one of the reasons I went with the CAO also. Okay. I was like, you know what? In fact, my wife, after the holidays and I worked that long stretch, she was like, so what do you want to do tonight? And I was like, I'm going to be in the shed.
And she understood.
Yeah, she was like, you know what? You work 12 days in a row. I get it. Go have your time of solitude.
That's what it's about. Man.
Yeah, it really is. And what a great wife to be like, yeah, go do your thing and hang out and relax.
Get away from me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, it's funny because, you know, after the holidays, she's been around so many people. She's good with having some alone time, too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's our pick 6 for the week. All those cigars I highly recommend. If you haven't tried them, give them a try and shoot us a message. Let us know what you think. And let's see, next we've got Joshua and Cynn coming up for the interview, so we'll be right back after the break. Hey guys, thanks for hanging through the break. We have special guests with us. They're a dynamic duo, and they do motivational speaking. They do business engagements. They have a plethora of different things they do. And what I will say is they're just straight up cool. I've got Joshua and Cynn on the line with us today. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Doing really good. Thank you.
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, absolutely. I've been waiting for this for a while. We talked, I guess, probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago, maybe. And so we've been looking forward to having you guys on the show. I noticed recently that I've been seeing you on Instagram, and it looks like you guys have hooked up with Hiram Solomon. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're both super excited to be a part of the Hiram and Solomon team. I'll let Cynn kind of expound on this a little bit, but yeah, it's one of our favorite brands. I'm a huge fan of the Master Mason from them. Been smoking and sharing their stuff for a while, and we kind of had a lot of, because obviously we're cigar people, we had a lot of different people, brands reach out to us, and Hiram and Solomon kind of just seemed to make the most sense at this point for us and for our personal brand, for what we stand for and what that brand stands for and what the Freemasonry is about as well.
You sounds like you're a lot like us in fact that we're very particular on who we do business with, or as far as sponsorship or build a relationship with a company. And Hiram and Solomon is a great company from top to bottom, and I mean that's important to me. So I know you guys were very selective on who y'all picked to go with.
For sure. And we're like that with a lot of companies. There are brands, if you notice, if you go on our Instagrams, that we do support, we will post about, but we will not just take anything just to get our name out there. We have to truly believe in the brand because, our names are going behind that brand. Yes, we have been contacted by quite a few cigar companies, and just knowing what Hiram and Solomon is about, we just knew right off the bat that it was a good match for us as far as what they believe in. And Josh is not a Mason, but still has those core beliefs. So it worked out really good.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's back up a little bit. How long have you guys known each other?
Actually, it's a really funny, interesting story. Our kind of relationship started about a year ago, and we have been kind of hammering on our personal life and business really since then. It's our goal to kind of create great enterprise, as it were.
Wow.
That's we want to take over everything.
Nice.
Yeah, I truly believe that things happen for a reason because, before we met each other, we had the same goals and ambitions, and obviously we look similar and, have the same beliefs. So as soon as we met each other, we just knew, and we just threw that hammer down and went for it with every aspect of our life, business, you name it. So
you were both entrepreneurs before you met each other?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Because now, I mean, how nice is it to have backup all the time?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because he was doing the motivational speaking thing before we met, obviously. He's been doing it for almost 20 years. And that was something I was starting to dip into as well due to my past and some of the job experience I have. And when I met him, I honestly had no idea who he was. That was the funny part about it is I'm like, who is this guy? Why does he have so many followers? And,
Right.
So I didn't meet him because of who he was, but turns out, he did all these things that I was naturally already trying to get into as well. So like I said, it was a perfect fit for both of us.
What were you doing before y'all met?
I was actually working with the youth for a number of years, ran a facility. They were juvenile sex offenders who were wards of the state. So they would be court ordered to live in my facility for up to 2 years, and we would rehabilitate them to go back into the community.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very, very hard work. Not something that just anybody can do, but extremely rewarding to watch these kids change their life around and know that you played a part in that and they can go back into the community and not hurt anyone. Also, you realize that they aren't these predators that, they're being charged for all these sexual crimes, but they really weren't. It's partly their history, their parents, a lot to that. So I learned a lot and wanted to kind of tag along with that, but go further and start in schools myself. So was working on that, worked in a law firm for a bit, kind of changed over to helping the elderly and veterans as well. So that's where I ended right before I met Josh, actually. So,
well, that's awesome. And especially working with veterans and helping those. I mean, that's rewarding in itself.
Yes, absolutely it is. Yep.
Yeah, veterans are major for us. We do a lot of different events with different brands that help veterans like I do. I've worn for a lot of years NFW watches. And the reason for that is very simply because for every sale of watch, they donate to a veterans, any kind of veterans fund, whether it's Honor Flight or anything else. And those charities obviously are doing good out there. So supporting brands like that are hugely important to us.
We're big supporters of Cigars for Warriors. Have you met those guys yet?
No, we haven't met them personally. I don't think you have you?
No, I haven't. I'm familiar with the program. I think it's an amazing program. I think it's great because I know it's bigger than just cigars. And I think that's one.
Let me tell you, not one single person in that organization takes a dime. They do all of it voluntarily work. And I mean, I'm just a huge fan. They deliver cigars, of course. But that is also the number one requested thing by servicemen and women overseas is cigars.
Wow.
So that's their main drive. But I mean, they deliver, magazine, game consoles, just anything that the soldiers request, they will send. But the number one thing requested is cigars. And so we are just a huge fan of these guys. We've had several of their members on the show, and we just support them so much. So if you have a chance to look into them, definitely take a look.
Absolutely, we will. And I can totally relate. I don't need anything in my life. Just give me another cigar. I can never have too many of those.
Right. Well, it represents so much for those guys over there that when they get downtime, that's when they get to relax and have camaraderie with their brothers or sisters instead of, doing something different. But that hour of a smoke is when they can just really decompress.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that actually brings up a really good point. Like for Cynthia and I, the reason we were so stoked to link up with Hiram Solomon and be a part of the industry is because a lot of people outside of the industry don't understand that that's what it is. It's about that brotherhood or sisterhood and sitting down with another human, putting your phone away and having a real conversation again. And it's so lost this day and age. And this is a place where hopefully Cynn and I, not hopefully, we will get out there and help new people understand what that means and what that looks like. Because honestly, like I didn't go to college. I learned, life through hard knocks and it was worth it. But if I can save somebody the trouble and tell them that in the first 6 months of me smoking cigars and hanging out in lounges, I learned more than in my first 20 years of business.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it is. And they won't have to struggle either. And, it's so much more than just the cigar. It's so great you brought that up.
Yeah. And, I tell this story often, but I like to share it because it's so true. We had a guy who listened to the show from San Diego, and he would message me on occasion. And then one weekend, he sent me a message and said, "Hey, man, I'm going to be in Abilene, Texas. I'd love to hang out and smoke with you." And I was like, "Absolutely, man. Just let me know when you're going to be in town." So he did, and we went down and had a cigar together. And before he left, we had already introduced him to some other people, got him a job, and he moved out here the next weekend from California.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, I think I actually remember that story on the Fabian episode when Fabian was on it.
Yeah.
Told it.
And I tell
that's
you,
so great.
The guy has just completely thrived here. And we were talking to him last weekend, and he was like, "There's no way I'd ever move back to California. Everything here is just kind of laid back. I've got all my business things going on." And I mean, we're talking about maybe 6-7 months he's been here, and things are just really going well for him and his family. So, I mean, that is an example of the cigar family. And so I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is I know that there's so many people out there that want to learn about cigars. They want to try a cigar. Maybe they're smoking cigars, but they're doing it in their house because they are just terrified for whatever reason of walking into a lounge. They don't feel like they're going to fit in. And, that was the case for me at one point too, before I really got into it. And then I quickly realized within the first time I ever walked into a lounge that it is such an accepting place, and you will find all walks of life sitting in there that are all willing to talk to you. And, because a stick takes an hour or longer to smoke, you have no choice but to either stare at your phone, which I hope nobody would do, or start interacting with the people around you. And when they get a feel for you and who you are as a person, I mean, it just starts opening up and you learn so much. I mean, there's really nowhere else that you can truly do this with. I mean, you can go to sports bars and whatever else, but people are staring at TVs. You know, they're all there watching something. And a cigar lounge is you're just chilling with other people, having a good time and talking.
Yeah,
so.
and we've talked about that before. It's really not the same intent when you go to a bar, because, you know, people are drinking and it's more of a let's go have a good time atmosphere, to where a cigar lounge is more of a relaxation type. And you never know, a bar will have a certain type of people depending on the bar, to where a cigar lounge will have the gamut of different people, personalities, their political views, their financial status. So it's crazy, because a cigar lounge, there's all walks of life there.
Yep.
I equate it a lot to like a rock concert. Like, music unites everybody.
Right.
Nobody's there to hate on the person next to them. They're there to enjoy what's going on around them. And that's the same in a lounge. Yeah, you might talk politics. It might even get a little heated. But I've never seen anyone get up and storm out, or, you know, not talk to that person the next time they came in because they have different beliefs. It's like such a great equalizer. It's such a perfect place for everybody to kind of, like you said, just relax and kind of get that out. The older I get, the more, and Cynthia will tell you, it's like anytime we have moments to kind of chill, I'm always like, cigar lounge, let's go do that, because that's just the place for me to go to kind of exit the worries, you know?
Yeah, and I tell you what, like for my local lounge, it's called The Leaf here in Abilene, Texas. And it's just a place where you can go and relax. And I mean, everybody knows who you are, and you know everyone that comes in there. And what Cynn was talking about earlier with people feeling apprehensive about going to a cigar lounge, what I see a lot of is the guys who, you know, they're feeling intimidated because they go in and get a cigar and they pay for it and they get out. And I was at that place at one time, and, you know, I felt nervous because I saw these guys that looked like they knew what they were doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I found out is now those are some of my best friends. And so advice out there to you guys who may be brand new, take a cigar, sit down in the lounge and light up, and do that for like 4 or 5 different trips to the cigar lounge. And I promise you, by the 5th time, you're going to have a whole bunch of new friends.
Yeah. I mean, even the first time, someone's going to introduce themselves, even if it's just a quick, hey, you know, someone will say something to you. I mean, it's great. And, you know, one thing that we've realized too is, you know, we started traveling just on our own to different cigar lounges, local and somewhat local, some a little bit far depending on where we are, you know, could be in a different state. But in the beginning, I had a little bit of apprehension because you just don't know what you're walking into. You know, are these going to be people that give us dirty looks? Clearly, we look different. We don't look like your cookie cutter person.
Sure.
But I quickly got over that because, yes, they will stare, but my gosh, do they want to learn about you? You know, you sit down and within 5 minutes, you know, as long as we start the conversation, they flock to us. So,
I can imagine. I mean, how many times do you hear, well, where'd you get this tattoo? What does it represent? Or, I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of that.
We do. And what's crazy is, you know, we talk about how people are scared to go into cigar lounges. And what we learned are these people who, you know, you can call them businessmen or whatnot, they want tattoos and they are scared to walk into a tattoo studio. So we have broke the ice with that.
Absolutely.
And so we try to make them comfortable in that same environment as they're trying to make us feel comfortable in the, you know, the cigar lounges. So it's always a great conversation no matter where we're at.
Let's talk about that for a minute. I think you bring up a excellent point. And I've only been into 2 tattoo studios, and I got to tell you, that was more nervous for me than walking into a cigar lounge for the first time. So you guys have tons of tattoos. How was it the first time you went in? Did you feel nervous as well?
I'm actually going to let Josh talk with this one because he has actually been in this industry for the past, 20 years or so, and co-owned a tattoo parlor.
Oh, really?
So.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
On either side of the fence, like for me, the first time going into a cigar lounge, thankfully I had really good mentors. Adrian from Cigar and Guns on Instagram, and my buddy Ryan, who's a business partner. You know, they were very into cigars and educated me quickly. So I was always comfortable to that end. I saw the trepidation, but to Cynn's point, you get the questions, then you break down those walls immediately. None of that matters, and you're on to other things, which is wonderful. On the other side of that fence, seeing businessmen and women or people who are new to the tattoo industry come into what was my previous world, my previous business years ago, it was interesting because they would have that same trepidation. They would be fearful that we were going to judge them because they aren't, quote, like us. Well, no, they have interest in the same thing we do. And that's why they're kind of coming through those doors. And I think that applies both in cigars and for tattoos and anywhere else. Like, someone's coming into a place of business because they have interest in that business. Walking into it should be less nerve-wracking because you're there to hopefully hand over some money and also to learn more about something that someone is so passionate about. They created a business based on that, based on that idea. And that's what I think a lot of people forget is, and don't get me wrong, there's people that are out there maybe not conducting kind business, but by and large, people are just wanting to bring more attention to their business and to their passion. So they're going to invite you in. Even now, maybe it's not nerve-wracking for me, just simply because at this point I know that I can have a conversation with anyone and find common ground. So it's not nearly what it was maybe when I was in my late teens or early 20s. But that's
right.
That's the bridge that Cynn and I are trying to help people cross. Is like, if you're younger and you just don't have that experience or maybe haven't traveled a lot, we all have things in common. Let's just work together to find that and understand that if you're going into a business, they're there to help share their passion. And if you want to learn about their passion, ask questions. Don't go in there thinking you know everything. Like, I still don't know everything about cigars and cigar smoking and cigar accessories. I'm learning, but every time I'm in, I'm asking questions because there's someone there that has those answers.
Because he talked about how we all have something in common, and that is so true. A lot of people think, well, I can't relate to them, or I don't look this way, or I don't do that, or I'm not the same religion. BS. Like, throw all that away, because it does not matter where you come from, who you are, the things you like. There is something that we will all have in common with one another. You just have to find it, and then you cling to that, and that's how some of the greatest conversations come about. And you learn so many things about other people, and just on social media, Instagram and whatnot, you won't see us talking much in our personal life and our own views, because it doesn't matter. We don't care what your views are. We don't want people to care what our views are, because we truly like you for who you are, not in what you believe in, the God you believe in, whatever. And we hope that people think the same about us too. It's all about unity and bringing everyone together. Absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, I think the cigar community is one of the most accepting communities that I've ever been a part of.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
I just brought this up the other day when we were talking to David from Hiram and Solomon about how it's funny when you go into a cigar lounge, the plethora of people that you're sitting around. And one of Josh's good friends is Big Joe.
Mo.
Oh, Big Mo. That's right. I always get his name wrong. But he was on, what show was that?
He was one of the barbecue pit masters and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
On I don't even know, Discovery or Travel Channel or something. But yeah, we run into Mo fairly often. Rather I do.
And it's funny, the people that you become friends with in this world that you don't think you'd be friends with outside of the cigar
absolutely.
world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Mo is this, huge black guy who loves, meat and
golfing
and this whole world of crazy things that I generally am not interested in.
Right.
But he's a good dude who loves cigars, and we do find common ground. One of the best people on the planet, so that's what's so wonderful. You'd never catch, or even Ryan, the guy that I mentioned earlier that introduced me to cigars. Like, this guy couldn't be more, from the outside, appeared to be more kind of white bread, typical businessman. And I obviously look the farthest from that. Yet we couldn't be more close as friends,
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because I don't know if you guys have seen my co-host, Bryant, but Bryant is this big stature of a black man, and he used to be a police officer, and he's from East St. Louis, and I met him at the cigar shop, and within probably, a day or two of meeting up there, breaking the ice, I'm like this obnoxious guy that's always breaking people's balls. And I start talking smack to him, and he's just like, who the hell does this guy think he is? And after he sees I'm breaking everyone's balls. He's like, oh, he's just messing with me. You know what I mean? And so we became really good friends. And then the show evolved. Actually, just give you a little bit of background. I used to do what you guys do, and I used to go around to different shops and I would write reviews of the shop. And I had a blog, and I was enjoying it so much that I was like, you know what, I got to start interviewing shops because I want people to understand how awesome these shops are. So I want to take my listeners to the shop so that they could hear the interviews with the people instead of me just writing about it.
That's, funnily enough, kind of how we kind of stepped into all this too, because we were just doing that too, you know, going to cigar lounges and bistros and whatnot, and kind of just going for our own good. But then, you know, we'd post where we were at. We'd talk to the owners and get to know them. We'd kind of post a review, give a little kind of high level look at the place and let them know, you know, what cigars we were smoking and whatever. And then as that started to evolve, she and I started talking about like, hey, well, if we're already doing this regularly, if we could, you know, represent a brand that's important and go do this anyway and make it, you know, make this kind of pleasure side of our life business, why would we not do that?
Absolutely.
So that's exactly what we've done too. That's so crazy.
And one thing we love too about Hiram and Solomon and David in particular is he just kind of threw us the keys and said, you keep being you. You guys keep doing what you're already doing. We would love to back you up on that and just, you know, promote Hiram and Solomon as well, because that was very important to us. You know, you go on all these cigar pages and most people only post about cigars.
Right.
So you don't really learn who these people are outside of how they look physically. And, you know, like we've talked before, you know, unfortunately, and this is just the way it is, women tend to think that they need to flaunt their bodies.
And they don't.
And that's what I am trying to get across is, you know, I look a certain way, but I am not going to flaunt my body. I am in this just like everybody else, and I want you to learn who I am as a person. And we have realized that we can still go to these lounges and promote who we are as people and promote kindness and what we already speak about through motivational speaking. And now we can take this to a more personal level through going to lounges and talking to people one-on-one on smaller groups. So still creating unity and acceptance while also standing behind an amazing cigar company. So we're just truthfully so excited about this and trying to break down these walls and barriers and stereotypes and show people you don't have to be a certain way. So yeah, we're going to continue to keep doing what we do on our social media outlets.
It says a lot about your character without saying something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep, I am trying to get somewhere in life, and that is not with my body. I want to get to that top, but based off of who I am. So,
well, unfortunately, you know, for all the young girls doing that, they won't be young forever. Hopefully,
I can kind of blaze a new trail with that and kind of set some new goals and standards for women behind me.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
As a marketing professional for the last many years, I totally get that angle of marketing and marketing yourself and your brand. I totally see it. But again, to your point just a moment ago, you know, beauty fades. What do you have long term that you can offer? And if you're not establishing that in tandem, you're going to sink long term. You know, life is a long game if you let it. And you got to plan for that.
Yeah, and with social media, I mean, you think about the companies that use that avenue of using women in that sense. It's not long until they're picking up the next younger version because there's so many people available on social media that, I mean, you're one in 10 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It is absolutely saturated.
But when you come to the table with substance and values and a work ethic, you're going to be around for a long time, not just for the short term.
Yep, absolutely. And, you know, it's important to me to, if we're going to back a company, to represent myself in a mature fashion, one that the company is never going to want to get rid of me because, you know, they've changed the way they run things. You know, I want to be a long-term figure in this industry, and this is the only way I see doing it is just standing true to who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a few friends on Instagram and Facebook, and they are some of the leading women in the cigar industry as far as influencers, and they don't flaunt it. And before I even knew them, I reached out to a bunch of them and just said, hey, I just want to say you're doing a great thing. Your page looks fantastic, and you have much respect from me for doing it the right way and not taking shortcuts.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of great men and women out there who are doing great things for the cigar industry. I agree. I mean, and that's our goal, is to continue to like we talked earlier, high tide raises all ships. We're not here to talk shit about anyone, to bag on anybody. We're here to rise everybody up. If somebody needs a hand, I don't care who it is. We're here to pick you up and help you climb the mountain, because we're all climbing that same one together.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I recently have made a good friendship with the guys over at the Cigar Pulpit podcast. And if you listen to their show, they do 2 shows a week, and I am super impressed with their show. So you guys listening, if you haven't heard the Cigar Pulpit podcast yet, you should check them out. But that's one of the things, they've only been around for, I want to say, like 4 or 5 months, and I'm super impressed with their show. But I've been telling everybody, hey, check them out. So I'm all on board with helping other people in the same industry, because there's enough people that want to consume content that we all have a platform. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the thing is too, like, if you're a once a week or twice a week hour show, there's a lot more hours in the week for your content or somebody else's content to be heard.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's important to remember that. I mean, it's the same thing, like, we talk about Hiram and Solomon cigars because we love them, we work with them, but there's a lot of great cigar makers out there as well.
Oh, absolutely.
There's not just one. Even though, we're going to talk about one, but Plasencia is always at the top of my list. I started with Perdomo, so
both of those are very good cigars, high on my list, by the way.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, we'll get along good in person, it sounds like, too.
Absolutely. Well, I got to ask you this. One of our cigar sponsor is McAuliffe Cigars. Have you had them yet?
I don't think so, to be honest with you.
Well, it's a Texas company, and man, they make my favorite cigar, and it's the Medallia. I'll have to get you guys a couple of those because, man, it's a great cigar.
Nice.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
What's the Medallia, you say?
It's the Medallia. My favorite size is the Corona Extra. It's a 6x46, and it's just so nice. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned the Master Mason earlier from Hiram & Solomon, but have you guys smoked the Shriner from Hiram & Solomon?
Oh my gosh, that cigar is such a beauty.
Oh, that's my favorite Hiram & Solomon stick by far. Oh, I love that stick.
The Shriner hat that it comes in, I swear I'm going to get my hands on one of those hats.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Yes.
Have you had any of the Traveling Man as well?
I've smoked the entire Hiram & Solomon line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
We were just smoking Traveling Man just the other day. Great cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to lean to the medium full or full at this point. And that's why obviously the ones that we're talking about are definitely my daily smoke if it can be. So I'm right there with you on the Shriner as well.
Oh man, I love the Shriner. It's so good with the cup of Sumatra fresh ground coffee. Oh.
Yeah.
That's been our kick lately. Instead of going and getting ourselves a glass of whiskey, we're like, can we get some coffee, please?
Oh, I have my own lounge at my home, and I have a super cool wife. And I actually bought a 12 by 14 foot shed. I had it put electrical, insulation, sheetrock. We painted it like a nice dark red. And then we have a big screen TV. We have an old 1984 stack stereo. And that's where I hang out and smoke cigars. And I have a full bar, but the whiskey doesn't get drank near as much as the coffee.
Oh, that is awesome. And I didn't even personally know that coffee would go so good with a cigar. So this is a new discovery for me. It's like, that's all I want anymore.
Well, what's funny is I've only drank coffee for about 2 years. And I didn't start drinking coffee until I tried coffee with a cigar. And I was like, holy crap, that's perfect together.
mind blown.
Yeah, really it is. And here's the down part is I started drinking coffee at the local cigar lounge here in Abilene, and the Leaf has, and I'm not exaggerating, they have the best coffee on the planet. When I started drinking that coffee, it was just amazing. And then when I went to a convenience store, I was like, oh, nobody can drink this stuff. It's horrible.
Well, it sounds to me like we need to get down to the Leaf and do an event and have their damn coffee.
You know what? That would be fantastic. We could have like a cigar talk, a Joshua and Cynthia and a Hiram Solomon event, and throw in McAuliffe, and we've just got a party.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that must happen. I think it's out there in the universe. So by summer's end, I could see that happening.
Hey, well, I tell you what, the Leaf is in the process of building a new location, and that's going to be in February, maybe March at the latest. But anytime after that, you guys want to come down to Texas, you let me know, and we'll get it set up.
Man,
awesome.
that would be amazing. Yeah, if they're building a new location, I don't see why we can't do the grand opening or something.
Oh, now that would be awesome because they're planning on a lot of stuff, and I'm really pretty close to the owner, Jay. We've actually had Jay on the show. If you go back to episode Building a Great Cigar Lounge, that's Jay. And
awesome.
So anyway, he's a young entrepreneur. I believe he's about 36. He may have just turned 37. But we love that guy. He's one of those cigar shop owners that listens to his Patreons. He takes care of them. I mean, and he's the kindest hearted guy. But yeah, we should definitely look into that. That would be a great party.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us what you guys got on the horizon coming up.
We have a lot of things coming up, actually. We're working on scheduling a bunch of events for 2020. That's our kind of big thing on the table right now. Because obviously, you know, we're just starting with Hiram and Solomon. That takes a little bit of time to get that ball rolling.
Speaking engagement coming up.
Yeah, we have some speaking engagements in the Midwest and Southern Midwest. And
so are you guys on the road quite a bit?
Oh, yeah. Yep, for sure.
Yep, definitely can be. It depends. I've tried to slow down the last several years so then we could align our two schedules and really get on the same page to start taking things to a whole new level. And now 2020 is looking like we're finally scheduling everything together.
Nice.
So, yeah. So now it's time to level up. Time to get out there into some cool cigar lounges and into some various schools and businesses and, you know, make the world a better place all at once.
That's awesome, man. So earlier you said that you guys are from Flint, Michigan, or that area?
Yes. Yep.
So I got to ask you, how is the drinking water condition playing out? I mean, are we making some headway up there?
That's so funny. That's one of the first things everyone asks us. As far as the actual water, the water is good. The problem is the water they were pulling was actually from the Flint River, and that was toxic water. They wanted to stop pulling from Detroit. They thought that they could cut costs doing this. So they pulled the water from there. Whatever it was in there was toxic, started eating the pipes in the homes and the businesses. So even though they have the water issue fixed, unfortunately, a lot of these houses still have the corroded pipes that are causing all these illnesses.
Oh.
And Flint, as we all know, is kind of a struggling city, a lot of poverty going on there. So these people can't fix their pipes. So there are still supposedly water stations, though I have not seen these water stations, where they can get their water. Yes, yep. I have yet to see a water station. We won't go into details on that, but it's still a big thing. Like I said, water is safe, but the pipes in the homes and businesses are not, unless they have gotten a reverse osmosis or they have completely changed their pipes out. So
if you have the reverse osmosis, you're okay.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So in fact, downtown Flint for a long time was a very abandoned, struggling city. And just in the past couple of years, they've started to really thrive. And with that said, Josh and I have actually talked about the possibility of opening a cigar lounge in downtown Flint.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it's just, I mean, where we live, there is one cigar lounge and then nothing else in a 60-mile radius. So we've really talked heavily about that. And like I said, now downtown Flint is truly thriving. There's some fantastic businesses down there. There's a company that will help new business owners kind of get off their feet and match some of the prices that you're having to deal with. So it's on the up. It's thankfully on the up.
If you guys do open one and you get to where you need a tobacconist, I actually know a tobacconist that lives in Flint that's no longer in the tobacco industry, but that's because there's no tobacco shops in Flint.
Yeah, there's not. There's one really big company that came through, and unfortunately, part of the game, they have caused other companies to really struggle. So they're the big guys in town, but beyond that, there's really nothing. I mean, it's good for people who want to start up a business, but bad for other businesses. So.
Right. Well, that's awesome that you guys have ideas of opening a lounge. I think it's amazing anytime someone can open a new lounge just to create that space for people to come and hang out together from all different walks of life. So anytime someone's opening a new lounge, I get excited.
Yeah, for sure. And, like we said earlier, people tend to think that they won't fit in. It's this, high society, upper class thing only. And we're trying to show people, no, it's not. It's not at all. It's for anybody.
Well, if you guys get the opportunity, Google Smokers Abbey down in Austin, Texas. The owners of that lounge kind of resemble you guys in the fact that they have tattoos and piercings, and there's like salt of the earth. I love that shop, and they have all walks of life of people that come in there. We did a show down there last summer, but anyway, they run a great shop down there, and you guys should definitely check them out as well.
Yeah, we will for sure. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it definitely sounds right up our alley for sure. And we're working with Hiram and Solomon all over the country, so if we can get down to Texas, we may as well just make a bunch of different stops and do a bunch of different events while we're there. So
absolutely.
We might have to add them to the list.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just talking to David a couple of days ago, and he was saying that he plans on being in Texas quite a bit after the first of the year. So we're excited about having you guys as well.
Yeah, something that David did that I think is just absolutely fantastic is he did a tattoo event. What was it called?
An Ink and Ash event?
Yeah, Ink and Ash. So,
yeah.
I mean, I thought that was the coolest thing ever because, like we've been talking for, a while on the show is how, cigars and tattoos and the culture and how some people feel like they can't fit in with tattoos and some feel like they can't fit in with cigars. So he kind of broke down that barrier by bringing both of those worlds together, and he said it was a huge success. So I'm really hoping we can continue on that streak as well and maybe do some more things in tattoo studios and parlors. So.
Yeah, and what I love about David is the events that he comes up with are not your normal events, which I love because I get tired of the regular come in and buy 4, get 1 free. I think that's played out. It's done. But doing an event that you remember, it's kind of like what Fabian was talking about when I talked to him a few weeks ago, was create an event where people come in and have a great time, and it's something that they're going to remember forever. You come in and buy 4 cigars and get 1 free, you forgot about that the next day. And,
absolutely.
And David had an event, I believe, in Arkansas where they had cigars and guns, and they actually got to go shoot some really cool guns. So I think that's right up your alley.
Yeah, we've done a bunch with different brands. We've done a bunch of kind of cigars and guns related events. Weirdly enough, we did some stuff in Kansas City with Outlaw Cigar, who were absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
So we are definitely into that. It's interesting the kind of crossover cigars have because there's so many different walks of life. You can end up talking about timepieces or cars or firearms like you mentioned, or music or any number of other things. So the events that you can associate with it are pretty dang endless.
Oh, absolutely. I've got some friends over at the Renegade Lounge in Richardson, Texas, and I was talking to the owner about some of the events they did, and one of them was they had a watchmaker come in and talk about timepieces. They had a suit tailor come in and talk about what you need to look for a quality suit. I mean, and so those kind of events to me are life memories. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and they're good for everybody because you might have a guy who's worked in a factory for a lot of years pushing buttons and is moving into management, might need his first suit, and you have the kid who just graduated from college who's going to now need his first suit, and they don't know what to look for. So you're catching a lot of different demographics as well in that.
Yeah, I mean, and you're educating people, and people really want to be educated.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Yeah, we got some ideas for some really cool events, and we're going to work on obviously first establishing a lot of kind of relationships with different lounges and owners around the country, and then we'll really start diving into events. But our goal, as we kind of hinted toward earlier, is everything's very much family before business for us.
I like that.
And, we're not going to, get a hold of somebody and be like, hey, what's up? What can you do for us? We need to show them, like, we care. Like, we're in this because we care about your well-being and your goals. How can we, help you get there? How can we serve you better? And yes, that might involve, making some sales of Hiram & Solomon cigars, of course. But if it doesn't, that doesn't mean we're going to write you off. We'll still buy some sticks and sit down and have a smoke in there and talk with your customers, because that's what we're all here to do. Again, high tide raises all ships.
Absolutely. And, I was real impressed with David. Me and him went to a cigar lounge together, and the whole time we were there, he'd never bought Hiram & Solomon cigars. And he told me that he always does that because he wants to go in there and support the shop. And if he buys his own cigars, he's supporting the shop, but he's really supporting Hiram & Solomon. And so it shows a lot of class on his part.
Yeah, that's something that we talk about all the time is, we will never trash talk any other company because we are all in this together. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I mean, high tide raises all ships, and we have to be, family before anything else. And if that means supporting another company as well, we're going to do it because everyone's doing amazing in this game, and, we're all for it. So
absolutely.
Not only that, if we all want to continue this great pastime that's been going on forever and ever in this country with the way the politics are swinging, we all need to be on the same side, and we all need to be fighting for that.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question, and this is kind of a side boom. It could crush you here because I'm going to shame you if you answer wrongly. Are you ready?
Before you ask it, you're going to shame us. I know why, because I didn't even find out about it until I listened to your show.
All right, so you already know I want you to be a member of the Cigar Rights of America.
Absolutely. And we are not. I didn't actually learn about it till I started researching your show specifically.
Well, we are big supporters of them just because of what you said. The political landscape is changing all the time and definitely not changing in our favor. And those guys are the one voice for us. And so Glenn Loop is the executive director for Cigar Rights of America. And if you're on LinkedIn, you definitely want to hook up with him and follow him because he publishes multiple articles every day to keep you informed of what's going on.
Excellent. I'll do that. Yeah, I have a LinkedIn. I'll jump on LinkedIn and definitely give him a follow for sure.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's listening, by the way, that wants to find out more about us, it's at Joshua Coburn and at Cynn Coburn on most of the socials. And joshuacoburn.com and Cynnistr.com. That's CYNNISTR.com for Cynthia. At Joshua Coburn and at Cynn Coburn on Instagram, which is, we do have Facebook, we have LinkedIn and Twitter and all those things, but Instagram is definitely where we play the most.
How did you guys both end up in Flint, Michigan? Are you both from there?
I actually grew up in Michigan for a good portion of my childhood. Due to the military, I was actually away from Michigan since about 2002, and then ended up coming back to Michigan almost 3 years ago now. So that's kind of how we came back here. And then obviously Josh and I met, and he just decided to pick up his stuff and move over here. So.
Yeah.
Where did you move from?
I grew up in Iowa, central Iowa. So my original home lounge is actually Iowa Cigar in Des Moines.
Oh, okay.
I lived very simply. I didn't have much, so it was easy for me to pack up a couple carloads and head this way. I set my life up very much so I could basically base it around travel, which is exactly what I've been doing the last many, many years.
Nice. Well, I was just curious because neither one of you have that accent that I would expect to be for someone from Michigan.
That's so funny because I actually get picked on for my accent all the time, especially from Josh. I'll be sitting there on the couch and I'll say something and he'll mock me.
Yeah.
I don't hear it, but
I haven't heard much of it.
I don't think it's as strong as other Michiganders because I've been away from Michigan for so long. Because sometimes when other people talk, I do hear it coming from them, not so much me. But I do catch myself on certain things like the .com is definitely said
yeah,
with the
there you
Michigan
go.
accent.
Yeah, definitely .com. DATCAM is how I hear it, you know.
That's hilarious.
And I actually spent 8 years in Texas, and I got a lot of flack while I was in Texas for my Michigan accent. So.
Oh, very nice. What part of Texas were you in?
Fort Hood.
Oh, okay, of course, the military brat town.
Oh yeah, yep. Spent 8 years at Fort Hood.
Well, hey guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's been nice just kind of like hanging out at the cigar lounge, having good conversation, getting to know you, and we definitely want to stay in contact because I see a lot of great things coming from you guys, and so if there's anything that we can do for you guys, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. We're always going to be here for you.
Yeah, for sure, and same for us. If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here. We want to help people.
Absolutely.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we go?
I just hope people out there are, willing to be real with one another, be vulnerable, and kick all the ass. Like we said several times, high tide raises all ships. We're all in this boat together, so let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, hey, man, thanks again. You and Cynn have a great weekend coming up, and if there's anything we can do, make sure you reach out, and we'll be talking to you soon, brother and sister.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep. Take care, buddy.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that interview with Joshua and Cynn. Man, it was a pleasure to have them on the show. We're going to do some great things with those guys.
Yes, we will.
I invited them down to Texas, and they're in Flint, Michigan. And anyway, they said they were interested in opening up a cigar lounge. And I told them that I knew a former tobacconist if they needed some help.
Definitely in Flint.
Right.
Most definitely.
Hook
That would
them
be
up,
perfect.
because he could use some, guidance like that. Those are good people. He would definitely. Anyway, this week's giveaway, we are giving away a Gran Habano cap. What do you call those kind of hats? The flat snapback. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not a hat wearer anymore. I used to be, but I'm so far out of touch. When you get to be my age,
I am.
I know, but listen, when you get to be my age and you still have hair, you want to show it off.
Man, I still got a head full, and it's just ingrained in me. My grandfather was a hat man. No matter where, I don't care. I used to, when I got into my 20s, I was like, man, you start thinking grown up stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, do Grandpa wear a hat when he would? I'm like, nah, but I never saw him without a hat.
Well,
at the dinner table.
Here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever seen that butt ugly cap over there that's got the Harlem Globetrotter on it.
Yeah, I have.
Actually, it's a Cavalier hat.
Yeah.
It's red and yellow,
Yes,
and it's got that big forefront like a Elmer Fudd hat.
Yeah.
That was my dad's hat. And
you told me. You told me. Man.
And it was a fitted cap. My dad would only wear a fitted cap. And you want to know why?
Why?
Because he was bald.
And you didn't want nobody to see that patch.
And he didn't want nobody to see that he was bald. So if there was a hole back there,
you could see it.
You could see it. So you know what he would do? If he bought a hat that wasn't fitted, he'd have my mother sew a piece of material in there to cover up the hole.
Goodness.
But dude, it wasn't about what was on the hat.
Yeah.
It was about how much of his head the hat would cover.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, like that Cavs hat is butt ugly. But before that hat, he used to have a black fitted hat that had Marlin the Martian on it. Dude, we're talking about a 60-year-old man wearing a ridiculous cartoon hat.
That's cool, man.
Hey,
that's cool. I like that.
You never knew.
I like that.
It was just like whatever hat he's going to have, it's going to be so ridiculous.
Oh, man, I like that. But see, my grandfather, he was a snapback man. He didn't care what it
really?
was. Yeah, he wore snapback. Them trucker hats, man, with the mesh on the side.
Oh, my dad loved the snapback style.
Oh, man, he wore
and
them
the bigger the front.
Yeah, the way it's set up straight up.
We called those the Elmer Fudd hats.
But it's set up straight up, and then it had that straight brim. He loved that. And then when he got dressed up, it was either a dauber, a fedora.
Now, what's a dauber?
It's like the ones
I wear. Is that the round one?
No, yeah, the round with the turned up.
Yeah,
those are the ones I wear. But that's where I got that style from, was from him, because that's all I saw him wear. You see me with either a fitted, a snapback, or
See, I was looking at different hats I think I could wear, and I came back with nothing. I was like, closest thing I could think I could wear would be an Indiana Jones hat.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'm like, you know what? I'm not wearing that.
Nah, because that's not your style. But that's a nice hat, though.
Oh,
that's a nice.
I looked at it,
nice
was
brand.
like, that's a good looking hat.
Yeah, that's a good brand.
But yeah, it just doesn't fit me personality wise.
My son told me when you're going back to that ball, he said, I'm so thankful. I was like, what is that? He said, because we don't have the ball gene. He said, I'm gonna have my hair full.
Right. Well, you know what's funny is both my brothers are bald. And they're younger than me. My younger brother, who's 6.5 years younger than me, is bald. And the one that's 6.5 years younger than him is bald.
Wow.
I'm not bald. Now, I will say I got that solar patch going on a little bit, so it won't be too long. Yeah. And then I'll probably start wearing a hat. Be like my dad.
Come talk to me. I'll hook you up.
Hey, I might do it. All right, so let's get back to the giveaway. We're giving away the the Grand Habano snapback.
Yes, sir.
And super good looking hat. I'll post a picture of it on Instagram in a little bit. But anyway, we did the drawing, and this week's winner is Jeff Richardson.
Yes, sir.
And so I believe he lives somewhere around Houston. So congratulations, Mr. Richardson. Anyway, we want to talk about what's coming up next week. We've got Scott Pierce from the PCA. Now, that's going to be out this coming Monday.
Okay.
This is the bonus episode, so we didn't plan on doing that. So you might think the next episode is going to be Scott, but it's not going to be Scott. It's actually this episode. But next week on Monday will be Scott Pierce.
Gotcha.
And then also next week on Monday, I'm going to be going up to the McAuliffe headquarters.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to sit down with an interview with Dan and Amanda.
Okay.
So we're going to have both of them on the show. They got some really big news coming out. So that's why I'm going up there. I want to make sure that all of the listeners of this show get firsthand information.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what this show is about, man.
So, anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show.
Sir.
But we're fixing to hang around and do a little bit of the after show, which will be available to the Patreons at the Robusto and Toro level of Patreon ship. So if you're a Patreon, be looking for that. It'll be coming up and it'll be posted. So anyway, guys, hope you have a great week. And until next time,
keep smoking.